Hello, hello, and welcome to Reverb Exploring the Dark. Tonight we are doing a reading, including some spooky scenes, some spooky monologues, and some spooky jokes, as well as a bunch of other exciting things. We have everything from Poe going on tonight to a scene from The Haunting of Hill House to, like I said, Halloween themed jokes and the like. I'm very excited. My name is Stephanie. I am the peer leader of Reverb. Before the pandemic hit, we did a lot of cool things like cabarets and readings like this. And since we've been stuck at home, we've done a couple of virtual things as well. Halloween is my favorite holiday, so I'm really excited to bring you guys a spooky night before Halloween night of virtual theater. We have a wonderful ensemble here that will be bringing you these scenes and these pieces. I'm really excited for you guys to see them all. Of course, this is virtual theater, so this is free. But if you would like, it would be greatly appreciated if you donated the price of a ticket, pay what you can ticket, I guess, to Echo Theater Collective. Echo Theater Collective, obviously, we had a whole season of theater planned out way back in March that we had to put on hold, and since then we have been operating donation only and putting out as much virtual content as we could. So here is the link below. You can also donate from the Facebook page too, I believe. Yeah, so our show is going to be about an hour and a half tonight. We will be having a 10-minute intermission in the middle, so there will be time for you to go get snacks if you're on your computer instead of your phone. If you're on your phone, just take us with you. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I'm very excited for you to see what we've been working on. All right. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you.
I never wanted to do no evil thing. All I ever wanted was to be friendly. Only trouble I ever had come from it, being friendly to folk. Folk don't like you if you're friendly. I don't understand it. It don't seem natural to me. Folk ain't friendly. They ain't worth nothing. I don't figure. I bet you noticed it yourself, haven't you? The way they look at you like there's something wrong. And only account of I spoke to them. No, folk ought to be friendly. Folk ain't friendly. They ain't worth nothing. They ain't worth killing. I don't figure. Anyhow, I never killed none of them. Not a one of them. But I bet I can say who did. God killed them. God in his almighty righteousness. That's who killed them. I'd wager a bet on it. It's a shame they died. It's always a shame when folks die. Lots of folks die. No, I didn't kill them. I can swear to it. I can promise. All of them, every last one of them was alive and well when I buried them.
Mark me, my hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself. I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. List, list. O list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love, revenge his foul and most unnatural murder. Murder most foul, as in the best there is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural. Now, Hamlet, hear. 'Tis given out that, sleeping in mine orchard, a serpent stung me. So the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know thou, noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown. Thine uncle, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with traitorous gifts won to his shameful lust the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. But soft, methinks I scent the morning's air. Brief let me be, sleeping within mine orchard, my custom always of the afternoon. Upon my secure hour thy uncle stole, with juice of cursed Hebdon in a vial, and in the porches of mine ear did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man that swift as quicksilver it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with sudden vigor it doth posset and curd like eager droppings into milk the thin and wholesome blood. So did it mine. Thus was I sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, of queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. Horrible, horrible, most horrible. If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the matin to be near, and gins to pale his ineffectual fire. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Remember me.
Lindo. Lindo. Lindo.
Okay, Gail, I'm coming. I'm coming. Come on, I'm coming.
Okay, Lindo, come on, open up. Lindo.
What's the matter? What's going on? What?
Lindo. Want it back.
What?
I want it back.
What?
All the love I gave you, I want it back.
What?
Now,
I don't understand.
I've got yours in the car. All the
What?
love you gave me, I want it back. I've got it in the car.
What are you talking about?
I don't want it anymore.
Why?
I've made a decision. We're done.
What?
We're done. I've decided, and so I've brought all the love you gave to me back to you. It's the right thing to do.
I,
It's in the car.
you said,
I can get it for you, or you can get it.
well, I don't want it back. I don't need it.
Well, I don't want it. And what am I supposed to do with it now that I don't want it?
Well, I don't know.
Well, under the circumstances,
What
it
circumstances?
doesn't seem right for me to keep it. So
Gail, what is,
I'm gonna
I
give
don't
it
understand.
back to you.
What are you doing?
I told you, I'm giving all the love I gave to you. I'm giving all the love you gave to me. I'm giving it back to you.
Well, I'm not sure I want it. Well, do you need help?
Nope, nope, I got it. It's not heavy.
Gail leaves and returns with an enormous bunch of huge red bags full of love. She dumps the bag on the floor.
All the love you gave me. Yeah,
Wow. That's a lot.
a whole lot.
Gail
Yeah,
brings even more bags of love.
yeah.
She brings even
Wow.
more bags of love. There is now a gigantic pile of love in Lendel's living room.
What the heck am I going to do with all this? I mean, I don't know if I have the room.
I'm sure you will find a place for it. And now, I think it's only fair for you to give me mine back because I want it back. All the love I gave to you,
Yeah?
I want it back. So go get it. Lindell, go get it. Please. Now.
Okay.
He exits. Gail sits in a chair and waits. Lendl returns with a teeny tiny little bag, a little red pouch, and places it on a little table next to the chair. They both look at the little bag.
What is that?
It's all the love you gave me.
That is not. There is no way. That is not. Is that all the love I gave you?
It's all I could find.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Gail, what's going on here?
I told you, we're done.
Why do you keep saying that?
Because when I asked you if you ever thought we were going to get married, remember when I asked you that in December? It was snowing.
Yeah.
Well, when I asked you that, you got so quiet, and everybody said that night should have told me everything.
Everybody who?
Everybody.
Who?
Marvelyn.
Marvelyn?
Said yes.
Marvelyn said that like she's an expert.
Said that how quiet you got was all I needed to know. And she's right, you know. You don't love me.
What? Gail? No.
Shh. And I've been trying to fix that. I've tried to make you love me by giving you every bit of love I had. And now I don't have any love left for me. And that's not good for a person. And that's why I want all the love I gave you back, because I want to bring it with me.
Where are you going?
I don't know. I just need to get away from things.
What things? There aren't any things in this town to get away from.
Yes, there are. You.
Me?
Yes, You are the things in this town I need to get away from because I think I have to think and start over. And so all the love I gave to you, I want it back in case I need it. Because I can't very well go around giving your love because that's all the love I have right now is the love you gave me. And I can't very well go around giving your love to other guys because
The
that's
guys.
just
There are other guys?
doesn't seem right. No, not yet, but I'm assuming that there will be.
Gail.
Shh. So I think that since I know that you're not ready to do what comes next for people who have been together for a long time, I think we're going to be done.
Why?
And
Gail.
so I think that it's best, that's the best thing for us to do. Now, just return the love we gave to each other and call it even. Oh, geez, I'm crow. Is that really all the love I gave you, Lyndall? What kind of person am I if this is all the love I gave you? No. No, 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 no. No. I know I gave you more love than that, Lyndall. Did you lose it?
What?
Did
No,
you
Gail.
lose it?
No.
Because I know I gave you more love than that. I think you're pulling something on me, and this is not a good time to be pulling something on
I'm
me.
not pulling something on you. I wouldn't do that. Just I think maybe you should just take what you came for, and I guess I'll see you later.
He exits into the rest of the house.
Lyndall. Lyndall?
Gail looks at the little bag, takes it in, and is about to leave. But curiosity stops her. She sits in the chair, opens the bag, and examines what's inside.
What? Lyndall, what is this? What the heck is this? Lyndall! This is not the love I gave you, Lyndall. At least have the decency to give me back what? Lyndall, what is this?
It's a ring, Gail.
What?
It's a ring.
What? What the, this is not. Oh, Lyndall, this is a ring. Is this a ring? A ring that you give to someone you've been with for quite a long time? If you want to let them know that you're ready for what comes next for people you've been with for a very long time.
Yep.
Oh.
She opens the box and sees the ring.
Oh. But all the love I gave to you, where is it?
It's right there, Gail.
What? But.
It's right there.
But.
It is. That's it. Right there. There was so much of it. You gave me so much over the years.
11.
Over the 11
Yeah.
years.
11.
Yeah. You gave me so much that I didn't know what to do with it all. I had to put some in the garage, some in the shed. I asked my dad if he had any suggestions what to do with it all, and he said, "You got a ring yet?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Get her one. It's time. When there's that much of that stuff coming in, that's about the only place you can put it." He said
Yeah.
it'd all fit. And he was right. The thing is a lot bigger than it looks. So there it is. All the love you gave me, just not in the same form as when you gave it.
Yeah.
You still want it back?
Yes. I do.
Well, then take it.
She takes the ring out of the box, then referring to all the bags of love.
Can I keep all that?
It's yours.
Thank you.
Lyndall takes the ring, puts it on Gail's finger.
Lindell, you didn't have to get me a ring. That's not what I was asking.
Yes, I
No,
did.
no.
It was time, and it was honorable.
Well, it's very beautiful. Lindell, I'm so sorry. It's just, it's a Friday night, and I was sitting at home all by myself, and we didn't even go out or anything. And I started thinking that that's not right.
Into a kiss and a hug. After a moment, still in the hug, and unbeknownst to Lendl, Gail can't help herself but to take a good, long look at that ring. Lights fade on Gail and Lendl hugging and swaying. Two small people in love underneath a big, spectacular, starlit northern night sky.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more.
Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore.
And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, that it is, and nothing more."
Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word was spoken, whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more.
Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more.
Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the continents it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than uttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore."
But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, nevermore.
Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed with an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. By thy heaven that bends above us, by that God we birth the door, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden, it shall clasp the sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallet bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming thrown his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted
Nevermore.
Please take a seat. Your name, please.
Schultz, Gerald Schultz.
How can I help you, Mr. Schultz?
I hear ducks all the time.
Ducks.
Yeah,
You're saying you hear ducks in your ears.
yeah.
You said all the time. Do you hear them now?
No, not now.
So when do you hear these ducks?
Well, like when I first wake up in the morning and then throughout the day off and on, it's usually worse right around this time of day.
I know this is a funny question, but do you get a sense of what these ducks might be trying to say to you?
I don't speak duck, Doc.
How long do these duck sounds last?
Oh, it can go on for 10 minutes or sometimes 2 minutes or even a few seconds.
Some people get ringing in their ears.
No, Doc, it's not ringing. This is a low-pitched sound.
I see. Can you make the sound for me, Mr. Schultz?
Okay, I'll try. It's kind of a low-pitched honk, something like this. Honk, honk, honk.
That's not a duck, that's a goose.
Doc, Goose, what difference does it make? It's driving me crazy.
I can understand that. Do you hear the sound more indoors or outdoors?
I can hear the ducks anywhere.
It's a goose.
Okay, it's a frickin' goose.
I'm just trying to ascertain the facts, Mr. Schultz. No need to get testy. I'm trying to help you.
Sorry, this has just got me on edge all the time. Even when I don't hear them, I'm afraid I will.
Of course. Tell me, where do you live? Do you live near a river or stream?
No, Doc, I thought of that. Wait, listen. Do you hear that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. It's definitely a goose.
So you hear it too?
Shh. I think there are 2 geese and 3 goslings.
Really? You can tell that?
Yes, somehow. This is very strange.
I know, Doc. So what is it?
I don't know. You need to get out of my office immediately. Get out, get out.
Doc?
Get out!
Schultz backs away and leaves. The doc paces about his office, holding his ears for 5 seconds, and then opens a drawer in his desk and takes out a small bottle of pills, opens it and pops a couple of pills in his mouth and screws the cap back on the bottle and places it back in his drawer. Deep breath and sits down. After about 5 seconds, the sound of geese in his ears has passed. The doc relaxes for a minute and then presses an intercom and talks into it.
Please send in the next patient.
But then the doctor gets a look of horror on his face and covers his ears. To no avail, he starts writhing and screaming and then slowly morphs into a goose and then starts making honking noises, flapping his wings and flying around the office. As the next patient enters, he flies out the door. The end.
The publishers of the standard novels, in selecting Frankenstein for one of their series, expressed a wish that I should furnish them with some account of the origin of the story. I am more willing to comply because I shall thus give a general answer to the question so very frequently asked of me, how, when I, a young girl, came to think of so hideous an idea. In the summer of 1816, my husband, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and I visited Switzerland and became the neighbors of Lord Byron. At first, we spent our pleasant hours on the lake or wandering its shores, but it proved to be a wet, ungenial summer, and incessant rain often confined us for days to the house. "We will each write a story," said Lord Byron, "and it shall be a ghost story." And his proposition was acceded to. "Have you thought of a story?" I was asked every morning, and each morning I was forced to reply with a mortifying negative. Many and long were the conversations between Lord Byron and my husband, to which I was a devout but nearly silent listener. They talked of the experiments of Dr. Darwin, who preserved a piece of vermicelli in a glass case, till by some extraordinary means it began to move with voluntary motion. Not thus, after all, would life be given. Perhaps a corpse would be reanimated. Galvanism had given token of such things. Perhaps the component parts of a creature might be manufactured, brought together, and endued with vital warmth. Night waned upon this talk, and even the witching hour had gone by before we retired to rest. When I placed my head on the pillow, I did not sleep, nor could I be said to think. My imagination, unbidden, possessed and guided me, gifting the successive images that arose in my mind with a vividness far beyond the usual bounds of reverie. I saw, with shut eyes, but acute mental vision, I saw the pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. I saw the hideous phantasm of a man stretched out, and then, on the working of some powerful engine, show signs of life and stir with an uneasy, half vital motion. Frightful must it be, for supremely frightful would be the effect of any human endeavor to mock the stupendous mechanism of the creator of the world. His success would terrify the artist. He would rush away from his odious handiwork, horror-stricken. He would hope that, left to itself, the slight spark of life which he had communicated would fade, that this thing which had received such imperfect animation would subside back into dead matter. And he might sleep in the belief that the silence of the grave would quench forever the transient existence of that hideous corpse. He sleeps, but he is awakened. He opens his eyes, beholds the horrid thing standing at his bedside, opens his curtains, and it looks on him with watery, yellow, but speculative eyes. I opened my eyes in terror. The idea so possessed my mind that a thrill of fear ran through me, and I wished to exchange the ghastly image of my fancy for the realities around. I could not so easily get rid of my hideous phantom. It still haunted me. Swift as lightning, and as cheering was the idea that broke in upon me. I have found it. What terrified me will terrify others, and I need only describe the specter which had haunted my midnight pillow. On the morrow, I announced that I had thought of a story.
All right, here we are. If you'll have a seat, I will be back for you shortly.
And then what?
You know, everyone always asks that. I wonder why that is.
Well, it's a little disconcerting that one's life has just ended.
But sir, you're here and I'm here, so I think it's safe to say that nothing has ended.
Don't be coy. Everything here is such a mystery.
Such as?
Well, for starters, when you introduced yourself, you didn't give a name. You just said you were the host.
Why, yes, sir. That's exactly what I am. I'm your host. Why are you newbies so worried about formal introductions?
Newbies?
Ah, yes, that's what we call everyone who's just passed away.
Well, that's another thing. I can't seem to remember how I died. It's as if I were removed from my memory.
Interesting that you would put it like that.
What do you mean by that?
Your response was just one that I found interesting.
How droll. Can you tell me what type of place this is? How long do I have to wait here? Where do I go next?
You sure are full of questions, sir. That's to be expected, though. May I just reply to them all by saying that everything will be revealed shortly.
You sound like one of those old mysteries where the detective says, I suppose you're wondering why I've called you all here this evening. The game's afoot, eh?
Quite amusing, sir. Relax, and I shall be back for you shortly. May I suggest a magazine?
A magazine? Life magazine coverage of Pearl Harbor. Charming. What kind of place is this? Reminds me of waiting for a shot at Dr. Skinner's when I was a kid.
Here we are. If you'll have a seat, I will be back for you shortly. Meanwhile, you do have some company. Feel free to introduce yourself to him. He would appreciate that.
How disappointing. My office phoned ahead requesting a private room. No offense.
A private room. I'll have to remember that one. The others will find it amusing.
What others?
Why, the other hosts, of course. You don't think I'm the only one, do you? I consider myself a hard worker, but that would be too extreme a schedule. Now, if you'll allow me, I will get the process underway and shall return for you.
Shortly.
Perfectly true, sir. Just a moment while I go cross some T's and dot some I's.
And then what?
Ah, yes. I do enjoy the news.
No use trying to get her to reveal anything. I think she used to work for the CIA when she was alive.
So it's true? I mean, we're dead.
As my grandfather would say, it's as clear as the nose on your face. I thought I was dreaming when I was in that dark room and could hear the voices of people at my funeral service.
That was surreal. But I don't think the room was dark. I don't think we were able to see yet.
Do you remember how you died? Did anyone say anything that gave you a clue?
Not at all. It was like one of those movies they edit for TV and put in some alternative for the profanity. Except in this case, the dialogue just stops sometimes, as if someone hit the mute button.
I wish the mute button had been on more. It was depressing to hear what some of my coworkers thought of me.
So much respect for the dead. I did find it interesting to hear that my two nieces were more interested in which of them would inherit my jewelry. I wish I could see the looks on their faces when they realize most of it's fake.
I'm Charles, by the way.
Christine, so did you hear anything positive in the listening room?
Not too much. Well, a couple of friends from high school were reminiscing about the monkey shines we used to pull.
Monkey shines? How old are you? You sound like you're 85.
Okay, that was something my grandfather used to say. People always tell me that I'm an old soul. That is, they used to say that.
Well, I don't know if using out-of-date cliches constitutes being an old soul. Be honest, you're a 90-year-old who just aged incredibly well.
So much respect for the dead.
Touche.
Anyway, how about you? Did you hear anything nice at your service?
Does hearing several dozen people tell my husband how sorry they are counts?
I guess not. You married, huh?
For 14 side-splitting, rib-tickling years. You?
No, never was. I almost was once. Then I got cold feet. Or maybe she did, or maybe we both did.
I'm sorry.
You are? Why?
Habit, I guess. I'm not totally disrespectful, you see.
Good to know. So, what do you think this place is? Heaven? Hell?
I have no idea. What's your definition of hell?
Well, for me, hell would be being stuck on a one-lane highway between an infinite number of trucks, not moving an inch, and the backup goes on forever. On a humid day with no air conditioning. And you have to go to the bathroom really bad.
You're joking.
Only partially. What's your idea of hell?
I don't think we have time to go into my thoughts of hell. I'd rather focus on something uplifting. Might be the last time we get to think of something pleasant.
Well, there was this guy I went to high school with, a satanic worshiper. I mean, big time. He gave a daily sermon in the cafeteria how he was going to serve the devil in hell and all that stuff.
How is that uplifting?
Well, I haven't run into him since arriving here. That's got to be a good sign, right?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be here all week. No, I'm trying to be serious here. I want to talk about something good. It's important.
Okay, tell me about the best time in your life.
I haven't told many people this or even thought about it for years. But I grew up in Artemis, Indiana.
Who's that?
Just go to the middle of nowhere, travel 10 miles east, and you're in Artemis. Anyway, the best times I ever had were the springs and summers there when I was in high school. We had a big backyard with a creek growing through the middle of it. These mallard ducks would come every year and swim in our creek. I'd go out and feed them bread every day. At night, my friends and I would go to the drive-in or the Dairy Queen. My friend Lisa, she had this big old red convertible. And we'd go driving all the time and just laugh and laugh. I know it sounds silly, but it was just the simplicity of the time. I didn't care about the future. I was just having so much fun in those moments back then.
That doesn't sound silly. Maybe that's what heaven will be like for you.
If that's where I'm headed. What about you? What was your favorite time?
It's tough to narrow down. I don't know. Okay, I got one. I remember my first semester of college. The girl I'd got out with in high school, she was a year younger than me and still in high school, Jenny McCormick. I remember writing her all the time. It was kind of lonely being away at school, but I would write her and she would write me. I always went to the mailboxes for the dorms with the anticipation, usually no mail, but on those days I got a letter. I was on cloud nine. I would answer her letters right away. I thought the sooner it went out to her, the sooner I'd get another letter. It helped me adjust to being away from home. It was more personal back then, writing actual letters. I kind of miss doing that.
Whatever happened to Jenny McCormick?
Life.
Don't you just hate that?
Ah, I see the two of you are getting on famously. However, the time has come for Charles to come with me. Your fate awaits you.
I don't suppose it would do any good to ask for a hint, would it?
Nice try, sir. You'll find out everything soon enough.
Well, as my grandfather used to say, this is where the rubber meets the road.
I've changed my mind about you. I think you are an old soul.
I just hope I get to keep it. Well, maybe we'll see each other again.
Oh, so that's your idea of heaven.
Good luck to you, Christine.
Charles,
Yes.
don't forget to write.
That was touching. I must say, you two are my favorite newbies in several days. Now, Christine, just be patient, and I shall return for you shortly.
And then what?
Hey, folks! It's time for a few jokes. Or perhaps call them
We say some groaners.
Tell me,
Mhm.
what happened to the man who didn't pay his exorcist?
His house was repossessed.
Got another one. Where do baby ghosts go during the daytime?
Day scare centers.
You got it. Tell me this. What do birds say on Halloween?
Twick or tweet. Mine are better. Listen. What do mummies listen to on Halloween?
Got it. Rap music.
Right. Why do the ghosts go into the bar?
I know that one. For the boo.
Okay. What's Casper the Ghost's favorite dessert? Well, I can tell you guys need a break. So we're going to stop right now for a little intermission, but stick around because we have another half to the show coming soon.
Hey, folks, we're back for more jokes.
Yeah. Ready? All right. How do you make?
How in the
Go ahead.
world?
Your turn. Go ahead, Jan.
How in the world? Tell me this now. This is a good one. How you make a skeleton laugh?
You tickle his funny bone.
Got it. Here's another one. What does a skeleton order at a restaurant?
Spare ribs. That's silly.
Why are both so bad at lying?
Because you can see right through them.
Your turn.
My turn. Okay. Why don't angry witches ride their brooms?
Because they're afraid they're going to fall off the handle.
What's the problem with twin witches?
Well, you just don't know which witch is which.
True. Finally, who did Frankenstein take to the prom?
I know that one. He took his girlfriend. Okay, folks, just sit tight and stay tuned for the second half of our show.
Here it comes.
I've always been afraid of the dark. When it's dark, such as in bed at night or when there's a power failure and the lights go out and you can't see your surroundings, it feels like there are no walls or boundaries. The normal boundaries that exist to keep us separated and safe from the other world are gone, and travel is possible between the two. Is it just my imagination? I don't know. All I know is that it can be an overwhelming sensation. I'm lying in bed and I sense a presence. I am alone, but I am not alone at the same time. Sometimes this presence is neutral, not threatening in any way. Sometimes it's an evil presence. One of my most vivid memories, more vivid than anything I can remember, is a coffin slowly floating into the room. It's a black coffin, but vividly draped in red cloth, and the lid is up, open. And there is an overwhelming sense that I am in the presence of pure evil. I should note that this is the only time I've ever dreamt in color. Was I scared? Yes. But the fascination was stronger than the fear. The coffin was now hovering in the center of the room. I got up to touch it, feel the wood. There was an old, decrepit man lying in the coffin. He was dressed in a black suit and a red tie. His eyes were closed. I heard, "Come with me, please. You are needed." Needed for what? My family needs me more. Curiosity was too strong. I asked, "What am I needed for?" His eyes opened. I wanted to scream, to run, but I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. He said, "You must choose. Either come with me or not, you must choose." I said, "I need more information." Why was I so fascinated? I could have ended it right then and sent him away, I assumed, although maybe I really had no choice. He answered, "You will understand when you come. You will understand death." Then a long silence. Can't I wait for that? No answer. I choose to wait. The coffin slowly receded through the wall. It was dark again. I realize it was just a dream, although something tells me it was more than that. I have been haunted by this event ever since. And now, as I'm getting older, I remain terrified. But I'm also comforted, at least to know there may be something more to understand.
The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, and then profuse bleeding at the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow men. And the whole seizure, progress, and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. But the Prince Prospero was happy and dauntless and sagacious. When his dominions were half depopulated, he summoned to his presence 1,000 hale and light-hearted friends from among the knights and dames of his court, and with these retired to the deep seclusion of one of his castellated abbeys. This was an extensive and magnificent structure, the creation of the prince's own eccentric yet august taste. A strong and lofty wall girdled it in. This wall had gates of iron. The courtiers, having entered, brought furnaces and massy hammers and welded the bolts. The prince had provided all the appliances of pleasure. There were buffoons, there were improvisatori, there were ballet dancers, there were musicians, there was beauty, and there was wine. All these in security were within. Without was the Red Death. It was toward the close of the 5th or 6th month of his seclusion, and while the pestilence raged most furiously abroad, that the Prince Prospero entertained his friends at a masked ball of the most unusual magnificence.
My dear friends, if you would be so kind as to pass over your undivided attention. These last few months have waned ever so slowly, like the fathomless waves hastening to the rock. The transient spray of the ocean I would dare call madness proves rightfully true, as it scathed the foundation of our very existence. At times we felt consumed by its grasp. Today, it is not so. Today, our foundation holds strong. Today, we celebrate, for we have conquered not only the dark recesses of the mind, but the essence of death itself.
What of the plague, Your Grace?
What of it? Every tragedy that has befallen mankind runs its course. We will survive.
Its course has already claimed thousands. Even the land is ruined by its crimson blaze. And who is to say this pestilence will come to an end? What assurance do we have of survival?
Am I in the presence of blind fools? Have the lot of you not come to your senses? Or has my lavish confinement dulled them? Our life's blood gives proof that the Red Death is vanquished. My battlements keep all that is corrupt at bay. If we few be but the last, then we will create a new beginning and breathe dominion over once stood before. Nature will embrace you, as have I.
How could God abandon his people?
Are you surprised at this newfound revelation?
He is our only Lord and Savior.
Do not look to any God for salvation, because there is none. This is the work of Satan, and his rule is without question. My pact with him has spared us from the cruel hell of his creation outside these walls. Therefore, it is without question this masquerade I conduct should move ahead as planned. We shall have the rich merriment we deserve in our hours of triumph over death. Tell me, have all of the rooms been prepared accordingly?
As instructed. The 6 chambers, still retaining their Gothic appeal and ornamental decoration, glow with their designated shade of color: blue, purple, green, orange, white, and violet. All except the color red.
It is forbidden. Anyone exposed tonight with the slightest tint of red shall hang at sunrise. There is no jest in the face of evil. The rooms are available for dancing and conversing. These are the orders of your humble Prince Prospero. Heed them and look on.
In spite of these things, it was a gay and magnificent revel. The tastes of the prince were peculiar. He had a fine eye for colors and effects. He disregarded the decora of mere fashion. His plans were bold and fiery, and his conceptions glowed with barbaric luster. There were some who would have thought him mad. His followers felt that he was not. It was necessary to hear and see and touch him to be sure that he was not. He had directed in great part the movable embellishments of the chambers upon occasion of this great fete, and it was his own guiding taste which had given character to the masqueraders. Be sure they were grotesque. There was much glare and glitter and piquancy and phantasm, much of which has been seen in Hernani. There were arabesque figures with unsuited limbs and appointments. There were delirious fancies such as a madman fashions. There was much of the beautiful, much of the wanton, much of the bizarre, something of the terrible, and not a little of that which might have excited disgust. To and fro in the chambers there stalked, in fact, a multitude of dreams, and these, the dreams, writhed in and about, taking hue from the rooms and causing the wild music of the orchestra to seem as the echo of their steps. And anon, there strikes the ebony clock which stands in the hall of the velvets. And then for a moment all is still, all is silent save the voice of the clock. The dreams are stiff frozen as they stand, but the echoes of the chime die away. They have endured but an instant, and a light half-subdued laughter floats after them as they depart. Now there were 12 strokes to be sounded by the bell of the clock, and thus it happened, perhaps, that more of thought crept with more of time into the meditations of the thoughtful among those who reveled. And thus, too, it happened, perhaps, that perhaps the last echoes of the last chime had utterly sunk into silence. There were many individuals in the crowd who had found leisure to become aware of the presence of a masked figure, which had aroused the attention of no single individual before. And the rumor of this new presence, having spread itself whisperingly around, there arose at length from the whole company a buzz or murmur, expressive of disapprobation and surprise, then finally of terror, of horror, and of disgust. The Red Death enters and moves slowly among the guests and soldiers. His face is hidden under a mask of blood. Prospero doesn't notice the Red Death.
Never has there existed so much revel to where it feels dreamlike in the greatest sense. Has the orchestra been satisfactory? Oh, how the melodies they conduct transform our bodies into fantastic vessels, both merry and mad, to vibrate the depths of the souls, then cease all sound from the universe. I presume too much. What with the densely crowded apartments, but in them beat feverishly the heart of life. What an assembly of phantasms I have painted, and the masquerade license of the night is nearly unlimited.
Prince Prospero.
Who dares? Who dares insult us with this blasphemous mockery? Seize him and unmask him that we may know whom we have to hang at sunrise from the battlements.
Stop!
The guests and soldiers freeze in position.
What is the matter, you fools? Have you nothing but yellow in your stomachs? Arrest him!
They cannot hear you, Prospero. They belong to me.
I do not comprehend.
There is much beyond your knowledge.
Who are you? Who are you beneath that wretched disguise? I demand to know.
No one.
Impossible. You fancy me mad, do you not? The means to challenge your prince. This is merely a tasteless jest designed to
Your
ruin.
victory over death. Only a fool would make such a claim.
Release my subjects. Tell me who you are, coward, or I will cut you down where you stand.
Your baleful actions will not save you.
But I made a deal with Lucifer, the fallen angel and ruler of...
He kept no honor in the agreement, and you will find no sanctuary in your private quarters.
Why are you tormenting me?
You torment only yourself.
Let me see your face. I cannot bear to gaze upon your mask any longer.
I wear no such thing. It is the face of truth. You hide behind your own Prospero, a godless tyrant who laughs in the face of death when he fears the idea above all. You are afraid to die, and your denial makes you weak.
No! It is a falsehood! No! No!
Prospero approaches the Red Death to kill him, but is overpowered. He pulls the mask from the Red Death and looks into his eyes. Prospero dies. The guests and soldiers release their pose and fall to their death. The Red Death crosses through the dead body and exits. And now was acknowledged the presence of the Red Death. He had come like a thief in the night, and one by one dropped the revelers in the blood-bedewed halls in their revel, and died each in the despairing posture of his fall. And the life of the ebony clock went out with that of the last of the gay, and the flames of the tripods expired, and darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. Sic transit gloria mundi. Thus goes the glory of the world.
Mama used to say, first God made the exceptional. Then God made the special. And when he got bored, well, then he made me. Of course, she don't say too much of nothing no more. Not since I laid me this here egg. You see, it all started when I had me sexual relations with the garbage man. Ooh-wee, did he smell. No, not bad. No. He smelled of all the good things folks shouldn't have never thrown away. His sweat was like cantaloupe juice. His neck was like a red, ripe strawberry. And the water that fell from his eyes was like a deep, dark, juicy grape. I tell you, it was like being with a fruit salad. Only I didn't spit out the seeds. I kept them hid deep inside. Then one day my belly commenced to swell real big like. Well, Mama locked me off in some dark room, refusing to let me see the light of day, because what would the neighbors think? I cried a lot at first, but then I got used to spending my days in the dark and my nights in the dark. Then one day, when my mama was off at church, I got this real hurting feeling down there. I mean, it was worse than anything I could have ever imagined. It had me hauling like a near-dead dog. No! No! Kind of something like that. Yeah. And I guess it was too much for my body to take, because the next thing I remember is me coming to, and there's this white egg on me. Well, I thought someone put it there as a joke or something, but it looked like it came from me. It had to have came from me. It came from me. Well, when my mama saw, she about died. Normal, Jean, what's that you got in your hand, girl? Normal, Jean, you better answer me, girl. It's my egg, Mama, and I laid it. Why? I'm the only person I know who's ever laid themselves an egg before. So I guess that makes me special. You hear that, Mama? I'm special. And so is my egg.
A long time ago, there lived a girl who had a dark green ribbon around her neck. On her first day of school, the boy sitting behind her, whose name was Jim, noticed it beneath her blonde hair. "Why are you wearing that green ribbon?" he asked the little girl. She looked at the ground. "Maybe someday I'll tell you," she said, and turned away. A year later, they became best friends, and one day while eating lunch, Jim asked again, "Why do you wear that green ribbon?" The girl laughed awkwardly. "Maybe I'll tell you another time." When they entered high school, Jim asked the girl out, and she soon became his girlfriend. As they were kissing, he pleaded, "Now will you tell me why you wear that green ribbon?" "Maybe if we ever get married, I'll tell you," she said, biting her lip. Jim fell in love with the girl, and 10 years later, he proposed, and they married. Their first night together in bed, the only thing his new wife wore and would not remove was the green ribbon around her neck. "Please tell me why you wear that ribbon," Jim begged. Once more she refused. His wife sighed and answered. They had two children, a boy and a girl, and Jim asked again, "Now, will you please tell me why you wear that green ribbon?" His wife sighed and answered, "If you really love me, you'll stop asking. I promise that one day I will tell you why." So Jim dropped the subject, even though he was dying to know. He just accepted the fact that his wife wore a green ribbon around her neck. They grew old together. The wife became very ill, and the doctor informed Jim that his wife would not live much longer. Jim sat by her bed for days, distraught. One day he finally asked, "Please, darling, tell me why you wear that ribbon around your neck." In a croaky voice, his wife replied, "All right, I'll tell you. Take it off now." Jim reached for the ribbon with fumbling fingers. He pulled the bow loose, and her head fell off.
Carl was driving on Rule 86 during the storm. Do you remember that storm? Of course not. You were in LA. It was a bad one. Cats and dogs. Worst I've seen in 10 years.
Mrs. Walker is seated on her sofa. The sunlight is pouring in through the windows. She absently holds a cup of tea in her hands.
He was there in the booms, and he lost control of the car. He went over the guardrail down a ravine. The car flipped over, and he couldn't see it from the road, especially with the rain. He couldn't see the lights. He was up.
Stephanie Cranes sits in front of her as her phone records the story.
He was he was hanging there the whole time, hours, upside down, tangled up in his seatbelt. They said he could reach the horn, but he couldn't hold it long because his arm was broken. And that's how he died, upside down, pressing on that horn whenever he could stand to.
So, when did it start?
The night after he died, it started with raindrops. I'd be asleep in our bed, and I'd be woken up because I'd feel rain. I guess. Raindrops falling onto my face. I'd wake up. There'd be nothing there, but my face would be a little wet and my pillow. It got worse. I'd hear a car horn, short bursts, distant, I think, but close enough to wake me. And then finally, this was right after the funeral itself, the night after he was buried, you see. I felt the water on my cheeks, and I heard the horn, and I looked up at the ceiling, and there he was, hanging there, upside down. I could see the water dripping from his hair. His face was deep purple, like blood had all just pooled in his cheeks. It's funny, you think I'd scream when you see something like that, but you don't. You just stare. You just stare at it like an idiot. And then his mouth dropped open, but instead of a scream, it was a car horn coming out of his mouth. So loud. I fell off the bed, and then I screamed. I screamed because I hit the floor, and it startled me. And it was like, then I only just remembered, oh, right, I can scream. I should probably scream. So I screamed, all right, and then I ran. Tripped in the hall and looked back, and he was gone. And then I lay there and cried, and that was the last time I slept in that room.
Stephanie reaches forward and turns off the recorder.
It's a very interesting story, Mrs. Walker.
Irene.
This is what I'd like to do. I'd like to look around your house, and I'd like to set up some equipment. I'd also like to sleep in that room tonight.
Goodness.
I'll be fine. I can't promise that I'll include your story in my book,
Of course.
but it's possible. And I thank you for sharing it with me.
Well, thank you for listening.
The next morning, Stephanie is in the bedroom, looking out the window. Mrs. Walker walks up behind her.
There was a stop sign there until recently, yeah?
I don't know. I think so.
There's a pole, see? But no sign. Kids take them for their dorm rooms. It's a moderately trafficked area. A four-way stop without a sign is bound to have a few near misses. You slept better with your husband in bed, right?
Of course.
You're probably just noticing the car horns now because you're not sleeping as well. Things you used to sleep through. The water.
Sniffy hops up onto the bed. She reaches up, slowly unscrewing the bolt holding the light fixture.
It was a big storm the night he died, one of the biggest you've seen in a long time.
Yes.
There's a leak in your roof. And you just didn't notice the water damage because
She removes the bolt and pulls down the light fixture. There, where the power cord goes into the ceiling, is a water stain.
it was covered. It was only drizzling last night, and I even got a few drips.
She places the light fixture on the nightstand and waits patiently. Mrs. Walker looks up at the stain, and we can tell.
This happens all the time, Irene.
And the man I saw from the ceiling, from my ceiling.
The mind is a powerful thing, ma'am. Especially the grieving mind.
I know what I saw.
The water, the car horn, and you'd be picturing how he died as much as you wouldn't want to.
I saw him.
And when you push that stuff down, it comes out at night. You couldn't help it. You know, I'd say I've never seen a ghost, but that's not exactly true. I've seen lots of ghosts. Just not the way you'd think. A ghost can be a lot of things. A memory, a daydream, a secret, a guilt, grief, anger. But in my experience, most times they're just what we want to see.
Why would I want to see my Carl like that?
Because it's better than never seeing him again. Most times a ghost is a wish.
Bob, George, and Penny are 3 wild turkeys who live in the woods and show up every day in the backyards of people who throw out corn cobs for them.
Have they thrown out the corn cobs yet, George?
Not yet, Bob.
I want some corn cobs, George. I love corn cobs.
We all love corn cobs, Bob. We're turkeys.
I like corn better than anything.
Yesterday, you liked bugs better than anything.
I like bugs, but I like corn more. Except sometimes when I get really good bugs. But mostly I like corn. I mean, sometimes bugs can get away, but corn never gets away. Corn doesn't move like bugs. You can trust corn.
Bob, did you ever think maybe there's more to life than just corn?
Sure.
Like what?
There's bugs. There's corn, and then there's bugs.
But don't you ever think maybe life is more than just corn and bugs?
I'm confused, Penny. You mean like trees?
No, I don't mean trees, Bob.
We're turkeys, Penny. We love corn and bugs. What else is there?
Well, I've always wanted to play the saxophone.
The saxophone.
Yes,
You've always wanted to play the saxophone.
yes.
Penny, turkeys can't play the saxophone.
Why not? Because I think that's just an example of prejudice. Give me one good reason why a turkey can't play the saxophone.
We don't have any fingers. You need fingers to play the saxophone.
We have feet. Maybe we could play the saxophone with our feet.
I don't think so.
Have you ever tried?
No, Penny, I've never tried to play the saxophone with my feet.
Then how do you know you can't?
This is getting too deep for me.
But we don't have any lips.
I've got lips.
You don't have any lips, Penny. You're a turkey. Turkeys don't have lips.
Then what's this thing on my face?
That's your beak, Penny. You can't blow into a saxophone with a beak. To blow into a saxophone, you need lips.
I don't care what you say. I'm going to play the saxophone. I don't know how exactly, but I am. And someday, when I'm a world famous turkey saxophone player, you're going to look through somebody's back window at the television and you'll see me playing the saxophone. And you'll say, look, Bob, there's Penny, and she's playing the saxophone.
Have they put out the corn cobs yet, George?
Not yet, Bob.
I feel the same way about the saxophone that Bob feels about corn cobs.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You can't compare saxophone with corn cobs
Why not?
because a corn cob is an entirely different thing from a saxophone. You can't eat a saxophone and you can't blow on a corn cob. Well, I suppose you can blow on a corn cob if you wanna, but it doesn't make any sound.
How do you know that, George? Have you ever tried to blow on a corn cob? Have you ever tried to play on a saxophone? Have you ever tried to do anything but eat corn and bugs? You're such a negative turkey.
Penny, where are you gonna find a saxophone? We live in the woods.
There might be a saxophone tree.
I've been in this woods my whole life. I've never seen a saxophone tree.
Just because you've never seen a saxophone tree doesn't mean there isn't one somewhere in the woods.
Do they have waffle trees? Because I had some waffles once and they were really good.
Waffles don't grow on trees, Bob. You have to make waffles.
I never made any waffles. I found them under a tree. I think it was that tree over there.
Somebody threw them out there with the corn cobs, Bob.
I'm going off to look for a saxophone tree.
Penny, that's stupid.
Don't call me stupid. I'm a turkey with a dream, and my dream is to find a saxophone and pick myself a saxophone and learn to play it with my feet. Call me crazy, but that's my dream.
Penny, you're never going to find a saxophone tree.
If Bob can find waffles, I can find a saxophone tree.
You're just going to get lost. You're going to get separated from the flock. And you know what happens when you get separated from the flock? You become flockless. You don't have anybody to gobble with. You just walk and you're alone forever. And slowly you start to go crazy. Remember what happened to Nellie? She set off one day looking for something and we never saw her again.
That's not going to happen to me.
How do you know, Penny? How do you know anything?
I don't think Nellie's lost. I think she found a saxophone tree. She's probably playing the saxophone under that tree right now. And that's where I'm going. And you can't stop me. Goodbye, George. Goodbye, Bob. I hope you find some waffles.
Goodbye, Penny. Penny went away.
Yes.
Nellie went away. And then Penny went away. And I think some other turkeys went away before that, but I don't remember too good. What's the matter, George? You look sad. Are you thinking about waffles? Do you miss Nellie? Do you miss Penny? Is that why you look so sad? Maybe we should have been more supportive about the saxophone tree. Do you think, George? George? Do you think I could learn to play the saxophone?
I don't know, Bob. Maybe.
Hey, George?
Yeah. What is it, Bob?
George, what's a saxophone?
Here come the corn cobs, Bob.
All right. Yay. I'm going to add everyone into the stream real quick so we can do a little curtain call. My goodness, there's so many of us. Is that everyone? Hello. Good job, everyone.
You all were amazing.
Thank you so much for watching. Yay. Thank you so much for tuning into our show tonight. We had a lot of fun putting it together. Happy Halloween. Just a reminder, if you could donate, if you enjoyed the show tonight, that would be great. We would really appreciate it. Another virtual round of applause for our wonderful group of Reverb actors here. Yay! All right. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. And with that, we're going to sign off. Have a good night. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.